Hello, welcome to the first episode of Share My Story. This show is all about you, the entrepreneur, your startup journey, your triumphs, your challenges, and everything in between. It's time to share your story with the world. And in this episode, we have very special guest with us, Kopula Vasundhara, the founder of D Hub India. Vasundhara, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sunil. Thank you so much. A wonderful evening to
Thank you.
you and all the viewers and listeners.
So, Vasundhara, let's start by understanding, D Hub India. What's D Hub India? We know it's an incubator for people with disability. I want to know from you as to what D Hub is all about. What's the vision? What's the mission?
DHub, we are starting for financial independence for persons with disabilities. So, the major challenges we are facing is lack of infrastructure, lack of education, lack of opportunities, and also social stigma and community. So, every time we need to prove ourselves, we are capable to the society. So instead, when we are going for the opportunities, job opportunities, we are facing lack of infrastructure barriers, first of all. So we can't get a solution, immediate solution to change this world, inclusive world. So instead of that, 80% of the PWD are living in rural areas. So they can't come for the cities, urban areas for job opportunities, even for livelihood. But when we give the suitable skills and tools for their livelihood, not only their livelihood, but their sustainability. So with these 10 years experience of with community services, I understand this. Then I started India's first business incubator for PWD. So different entrepreneurs hub. The main
Many
agenda is
congratulations.
financial independence.
Amazing work.
Thank you.
Incubator dedicated for people with, a person
Yes,
with disability. Uh, you yourself are a person with disability,
yes,
and you were a journalist as well, right? You work from
yes,
multiple
yes.
media houses. So how, tell us about your story. How did you come about? How did you take the decision to, start an incubator?
So actually, when I enter into my professional life, so I enter into at the age of 25. Until I did not get any discrimination from the family and even from the professors or my teachers, my friends, even society also. But when I started to living myself, I faced lot of discrimination. So I can't choose my dream job. I can't choose my dream education. So everywhere there is a problem, and people feeling that they're doing some favor us, even we are capable for giving job or providing anything. They're feeling that they are giving something great and favor. So I don't like that. And most of the things are happening with sympathy, not in a friendly nature or in an empathic way. So yeah, for everything I'm fighting with the people. So people feels that why this girl always fighting. And sometimes I feel that why I am every time arguing with the people, why can't I do a different approach. So instead of rising opportunities, instead of fighting with the people, let's deal with the people in a friendly way. So because the lack of awareness is there in non-disabled community, then I slowly started to approach people. So this is my condition. Even to explain about my disability also. I am suffering with polio. I need these facilities. So even I can't sit in wheelchair long hours. So I need these sitting facilities. Like that, I'm approaching with employers or friends and even with the NGOs and government. So in that journey, I understand that so we can't change immediately this society. So if we have money, so we can't ask any anything for free or in we can't dependable on others. We can do ourselves whatever we need. So for that we need money. So for money, what we do, either job or business. So for doing jobs, the infrastructure we can't change immediately. We can't change others' mindset. So then we need to empower our community people with a lot of the tools and skills, even communication. So then I decided to start a incubator. So it's okay. Already we have lot of incubators in Hyderabad. We are in a global perspective. Everybody looking for support with the T hub, V hub. That's the way we have the. But we don't have accessibility in any incubator in Hyderabad. Sorry to say this. Actually, that is the major problem. Then I immediately start my incubator. So we are providing accessible infrastructure and entrepreneurship development program, 12 months program. And also if they want to start their business, we are going to offer them co-working spaces. And if they have innovation ideas, we are going to offer makerspace. So these are the overall structure of D Hub. Then I take some international training in Kantari organization. So recently I graduated from that Kantari organization.
Well, that's
And
commendable.
this
Really
year
cool.
we have finished our first cohort with 5 beneficiaries.
And apart from training, are there any tie-ups with banks or investor community to provide funding or scholarships for the beneficiaries or for people who get incubated with you?
Yes, yes. We have the 12 months program, that is pre-incubation, incubation, and acceleration. Three stages, and we are offering scholarships for the beneficiaries for this training program. We are raising funds, crowdfunding from the people, and we are now we are going to tie up with ecosystem partners like T Hub, V Hub, TWorks, TCIC, and CBIT, and we have secured 20 collaboration in this year. And our 5 beneficiaries are finished their training. Now we recently on December 3rd, we launched them in a DHub launch pad. They're pitching their ideas in front of investors. Now they are in the process of securing investment for their business. Within 3 months, they will start with the investment of 5 to 10 lakhs every person. So that is the this year achievement. And coming to the bankers and investors, we are very new to the ecosystem, and also people have even people also understand this is new to them also. What they are thinking is we are unfit for businesses, and we are in the unproductive sector. So through this our initiation only, now we enter them into the productive system. Of course, we have a lot of success stories of entrepreneurs, the PWD entrepreneurs, but we don't have a publicity. So that is a problem. So now I am making them to understand that we are capable. So once check with their profile and interact with them, then if you are okay with give your support. I am discussing with bankers and investors. At present we are not typing any bankers, but we are going.
Any particular story of a PWD that you know that is personally inspiring to you or you feel pretty close to? Can you share with our audience?
So one of our beneficiary, she's amazing woman actually, Oligama, 25 years. She is uneducated. At the age of 20, she started to learn some skills for her livelihood. She realized that I need to learn something for my livelihood. Then she learned tailoring. Then she started tailoring business in her home only. She learned everything from YouTube. You can't imagine that. She learned spoken English. She learned social media, everything. Even she had more followers than me. So when she approaching us, she want to financial support to start tailoring business. But within 2 weeks of our program, she come up with innovative idea, that is adaptive clothing business. So now, after completing this training, now she is making some adaptive clothing her own self. So as a uneducated to as an entrepreneur, she was amazing story, and we will showcase you very soon after her she start her boutique.
No, definitely that's an amazing story that in the new age,
Yes,
new ways of learnings, right? So there is the
yes.
whole the divide that access to information, access to knowledge is no more thanks to
Th-
technology. Anybody
there
sitting in
is no
can do that.
barriers for the with disabilities actually. Determination has no disability, she proved that. So she learned everything from mobile.
I like that determination has no disability, which is
Yes,
perfect,
yes.
and uh, that's the key takeaway from this show for me. So, as D Hub India, you're based out of Hyderabad. Do you have
Yes.
branches in other parts of the city, country, or you're planning to if you don't?
Actually, this is the first in Hyderabad. This is the first branch. Actually, we are planning to tie up with the AP government also. I am trying to approach Nara location Pawan Kalyan also to start incubator in AP also. And the when we are approaching these people, are the problem is connecting with them. We need to roam every time. Actually, we are not getting their personal appointments actually with the people. So, but I'm trying. But Telangana government is very friendly, and we will soon we will secure a accessible space for D Hub. So now our major challenge is that is the accessible space for D Hub Center. We don't have a, office till now. So without office, without infrastructure, without team, uh, me and only with the help of my co-founders, just we are team of 5 people. So even we are working for ourselves, and we are doing these programs. So I'm proudly say that even in the starting, I mean like startups, everybody are feel that it's very challenging. Yeah, it's very challenging, but if we plan everything in a particular way, we can achieve all those things. So I'm the perfect example. Within 12 months, we finished our training program with 5 beneficiaries. We secured almost 6 lakhs funds from various departments of cultural department and tourism department, and even with the Pride of Hyderabad Awards, we raised crowdfunding. So without any infrastructure, we did all these things. So we don't have a lot any team members and big office and infrastructure. When we I will tell one thing. When we are planning for 4 months residential training program, but we did not secure office actually. So then immediately we shifted our program to online training. So we finished that. So even though there is a lot of challenges with network, and disabled people are living in the villages, they don't have a laptop or systems. So they are listening through their phones. There is no Zoom options, networking problems. Every 40 minutes we need to rejoin. So a lot of challenges are there for online training. But even though we finish, our beneficiary also supported us.
Well, that definitely requires a lot of courage, to leave something that you're already doing. Like you left journalism, you had a secure job, and then you left that. You decided to do something which was challenging, definitely.
Yes, very,
It
very
requires a lot of
challenging.
passion, requires a lot of passion, and lot requires a lot of commitment to it. And
Yes.
especially in your case, you're a new mother, right? You have a few days old baby, right? So that
Yes,
must have been a difficult journey. I mean, a challenging journey.
yes.
Tell us about you have a you have a media house which is Weave Media. What does it
Yes.
do?
So we are into event management and media related services like digital marketing services and graphic design and content writing, PR works, lot of things. But majorly I'm focusing community welfare. We did a couple of events like beauty pageants for wheelchair users and blind cricket matches and award functions, government authorization award functions like Pride of Hyderabad, and even we are giving government authorization award for the television and film people, celebrities. These are for my own concepts. I did every year in in March and August, and we have some particular timelines. So through this, I am raising sponsorship and I'm using those money for this community welfare. So this year only I started my foundation, Section 8 company for the operations of D Hub. Through View Medias, I have 10 years. This year we have a 10th anniversary. So I enter into the community welfare and even for the event management as an entrepreneur. I'm very happy. Lot of challenges I overcome. I face lot of losses, lakhs of rupees I lost in the entrepreneurship journey, but I learn everything personally. There is no guide, mentor, guide for me. So it's all personal learnings. So now I have all the skills, capabilities, tools, how to manage financial things and all the professional and even for the team people. So I get all the knowledge with this 10 years experience. So I'm very happy for that. And also, I'm the only one woman entrepreneur in this media sector.
And for that, very rightly, you were given the award, Seva Ratna, award by
Yes, Visishta
ICSC.
Seva Ratna.
Yes.
And
So,
I'm very proud to I received award from the Chanda Kochar ICICI Bank Advantage Women Award on the hands of Vidya Balan and Chanda Kochar. This is a national award for me. So who the women who are working without any support within their funds are so like that. Around 1,300 members participated. Only three people got this award. I'm also one of them. So I'm very proud of her that award and even receiving Visishta Seva Ratna award from the hands of Chandrababu Naidu Garu. So that is also one milestone.
yeah, definitely, you are an inspiration for a lot of people out there, and especially for PWDs that they can look up to you and say
Yes,
we also can do that, right? That's and many congratulations, and I really wish you all the very best and to your organization, D Hub
we
India.
have. Yes.
So are there any schemes from the government or corporates that entrepreneurs with disability can access to?
Actually, there is no opportunities in the government sector. Even recently, MSME also they remove PWD community. Actually, in the MSME schemes also. So we don't know government policy makers why they are forgetting us. Actually, this is a very sad thing in the government sector, and also in the ecosystem. There is a lot of technologies are there, there is lot of funds are going, and even every time investors are coming and they invest hordes of money in our ecosystem, mainly incubators. So there are a lot of startups are coming, but why people are not thinking about PWD community? So if they started 100 companies, at least 10 companies need to be for PWD. So services and infrastructure. Even it's very sad to know, to share that even in the T hub, even we don't have a accessible washroom. That is the sad thing in the ecosystem. So when since 1 year I am trying for collaborate with the incubators, I am not securing any accessible space for residential program. It's very hard. Even when we are approaching for the rented space also, people not showing interest to give for a disabled organization, especially for residential program. So government need to take actions, not for the they are not to develop infrastructure, then don't need to give lands or funds, extra funds, just give awareness, make the people more aware of the disabled community problems. Even in the disabled department also, who are working for the PWD also, they don't know the needs and requirements of the disabilities. That
That's
is the
very
major
unfortunate.
challenge.
That's very unfortunate, isn't it? I mean, an organization does not know. I mean, people who are responsible for it, they don't know, which is very
No,
unfortunate because
the
they're
lack of
not getting
awareness. So
lack of.
I need to educate them first, and I need to make them understand the problems. So it's sometimes I feel that my all my energies I'm using to make them understand. That is a major challenge for me. So even for the funds also, when 100 rupees we use for a normal non-disabled community person welfare, we need 200 rupees, because we need the infrastructure, we need ramps and spacious bathrooms and even comfortable seatings, and physical dependence, we need assistance. So for those we need to spend double amount. So for that we need funds also, more funds. When we are approaching international organizations and impact investors or philanthropists, they are asking why you are putting this much of budget. Because we our needs and requirements are different, sir. But even they don't understand. So that is the second major challenge when running a disabled organization. So first we need team. Even team also needs salaries. Nobody is working 10,000, 8,000 these days. Even a telecaller asking 20, 18 to 20K salary. So further, at least minimum 5 to 10 people we need to run an organization. So salaries, when salaries we are approaching funds, they're saying like this. When we are going to collaborate with the ecosystem partners to reduce our expenses, there is no accessible space. So how can we survive? See, even coming to our personal problems, even we are not getting any salaries for doing service. So what about our sustainability, surviving in these ecosystems? So lot of challenges are coming, Sunil. Actually, people need to understand that disabled needs are different, requirements are different. That is only my humble request, actually.
Definitely, through our program, we will, take this message out and we'll
Yes,
promote that part, create the awareness. That will be our responsibility as MyStartup TV. We'll do that.
yes. Whenever you start any I mean office or whatever, you think about accessibility. That is your responsibility. When people feel that responsibility, the ecosystem will be more inclusive. Then we don't need any other special spaces for running our programs, or even our lifestyle also will be more easy.
But I mean, when you said, even T Hub does not have, access for people with disability, that just proves the point that even at that level,
It's a
the plan
technology hub.
at top level, they're not thought of
Yes,
it.
yes, it's a technology hub. Why don't they create a separate space for PWD?
So
Why
what I'm
don't they are not giving entrepreneurship training for PWD? That is my question. I
I
see
think it
Vasundhara. No, there is no need of Vasundhara. There is no need of DHub. They have a super technology infrastructure. Lot of team members, funds are there. But why don't they giving some space for PWD? That is my question. Even when they are offering co-working space, but what should I do? So when I take one seat, I see that is not. I don't need office for me. I need space for training. In that, even we have T Hub, any other incubators don't have a accessibility infrastructure for these training programs.
Let's say you were to get a real estate space, a training space, physical space. Uh, do you think the number of people attending would go up exponentially than what you've done now online? Or given the fact that people are going to be across India, an
Yes.
online would be better way, or an hybrid model, both physical and online? Which kind of model would you go for?
See, online will be suitable for only few lessons. For suppose, for this Uligama case, we can she learned tailoring. That is a traditional tailoring, but now she need fashion tailoring things. So, so when we are giving online training, so the fashion designer how to train her. Okay, even though she will learn in that online. What about customer behavior? How to approach customers? This kind of practical learning. We make our curriculum in that 1 month mentorship are there. They need to visit boutiques and they are sitting in with the fashion designer and they are learning all those practical things. How to handle customers and financial literacy, how to handle accounts, and what kind of clothes are there, and where they are buying, vendors. Those learnings need practical things. So it won't possible with the online training. Even they're living in a 1 BHK area. I mean rural area. They're very below poverty line people. Most of the disabled people are depending on pensions 4,000 to 6,000. So they will disturb with the family members and all the problems. When they're sitting at one particular area, they will focus on training only. That is the we need residential program. It won't happen with the online training. And also I'm not giving every time training. Within 4 months they will learn everything, spoken English to entrepreneurship skills, innovations, pitching, everything. So even if they don't start businesses also, with those skills, they will live themselves with the job opportunities or anything, any opportunities. It is completely transform their life. It's not only about the entrepreneurship training.
Finally, for D Hub India, what's the future plans going forward?
We launched our next cohort, national-wide cohort. We are taking people from all over the India. So for that, we are planning to raise scholarships, and immediately we need accessible space. So DHub Center, we need more funds, we need support. So our next plan to secure accessible space is the first agenda, and after that, I want to build a campus for the DHub for co-working spaces and maker space. So for that, I am approaching Telangana government to allot a land and some funds for this campus building. And
Well,
also, we
Vasundhara,
are launching a health campaign for disabled pregnant women, Curves of Strength. So we are come up with a documentary and awareness campaign.
well, Vasundhara, that's amazing work that you're doing there, and
Thank
you're
you.
an inspiration for a lot of people out there. And we wish
Thank
you
you.
all the very best. As MyStartup TV, we'll be more than happy to associate and help you be part of your journey in whichever way possible. So thank you
Thank you
very much
so
for
much.
being on our show. Thank you.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to My Startup TV.
So honored to be here. I want to tell you the history because we are one of the earliest biotech company in the country. After Shanta Biotech, we are the second one in the country, the biotech company. So I've seen this transition of biotechnology, what happens, and I'll tell you my story of biotech park and incubator concept way back in 1994. Many people doesn't know. A lot of them retired. A lot of them died also. A lot of them still doesn't know what happened behind the game of all these things. When I was, I'm alma mater from University of Wisconsin, Madison. I saw their incubator and their biotech park was one of the successful projects in the US. So I met the chancellor, University of Wisconsin. I said, we need to do something in India like that. When I said that, they know, okay, we are ready. So we signed an MOU as an individual, no company. I signed. And we partnered with the University of Wisconsin Chancellor and all that. There's a time the Honorable N.T. Ramarao was supposed to come to Chicago for a meeting. We didn't make it. We left it off. In 1994, Honorable Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha came to a UN meeting in New York. So I went with laptop, I gave a presentation to him, how the biotech park can incubate, can catalyze the growth of India's growth. So I told, he asked me simple, you listened almost 30 minutes. You see how leaders are very powerful. It's a very good example. You listen all 30 minutes. Krishna, what do you want? I know you want land for biotech park. Simple question. Land, central government cannot give. Only state government can give. So I was a fool, wasting all my time to think, giving a brief on the whole biotech park. Such a sharp answer. Then he said immediately, he told his PS secretary, Krishnamurthy, was there. He told Krishnamurthy, get Dr. Krishna LR introduced to Manju Sharma and DBT, secretary, that time. So I came, after 3-4 months, I came to India, started 95 sometime, and met the Manju Sharma. I said, biotech park should come. And she's alive, so I think you can ask her also. So you can ask her what the story of 95. Then she said, again, I cannot give a land, I don't have any land. So I can put a policy, but land has to be given by state. So then I went to Bangalore. In Bangalore, I'm alma mater from the agriculture student from the University of Agricultural Science, Bangalore. So I'm not a vaccine guy, I'm not an immunology guy, I'm basically an agriculture guy. So I went to the University of Agricultural Science, we signed an agreement with US Bangalore to set up biotech park. And then we went to Chief Minister, that time R.B. Patel or somebody, Patel was the Chief Minister. In the afternoon, he was not in a good mood. I mean, he was fully in a good intoxication by afternoon. He said, I don't understand what is biotechnology and all bullshit, get lost. Okay, over. So University of Agricultural Science, we respect the Secretary, Biotechnology, Agriculture Minister, all policies. We put everything in Bangalore. And almost biotech park allotment land is allotted in the Agriculture University, both incubator and the Agriculture University. Suddenly controversy started. The agriculture land is given off to people. Controversy started. And the controversy started, then okay, I said, this is not going to happen now. Let me get off. I set up a board of biotech. I said, if I'm going to go in this board, I'm going to be bankrupt, I'm going to be jobless. So let's set up into Bharat Biotech, and I set up in 97, 96, 97. Then 97, set up a Bharat Biotech. happened to land in Hyderabad, which I'm not from this place. I'm originally from Chennai. So I landed here, set up Bharat Biotech. 99, me and Vasi Reddy, Vimtala, who's there here in alive. Now he's there, Vimtala, Vasi Reddy lab. Vimtala and me, we both went to Andhra Pradesh Assembly. We gave a talk to on how biotech park should come up in Hyderabad, how Genome Valley should come up. 99, in Devendra Gaur was the revenue minister, and once I think Sridhar was the revenue secretary. And so we gave an assembly presentation, biotech park. Devendra Gaur was very kind enough. He said he liked it. He said, we want to Charlapalli, we want to propose in Charlapalli, this part of the city. He said, no, I want to do it in my constituency. My constituency is in where Thorokapalli, where Genome Valley is there. I want you to set up there. That is where we can put it. I mean, the history is later. Then Chandrababu Naidu appointed me as a sort of advisor how to build Genome Valley. I had to acknowledge Sheila Bedi at that time, Acharya, who was also instrumental in coming out of the incubator in Hyderabad, Genome Valley. So we proposed the entire Genome Valley cluster should come up and all that. But I was busy with Bharat Biotech, so then Sheila, Shapoorji Palaji took over the biotech park, which I said, I don't want to get into infrastructure, let me get off, because we gave it to the schedule, the projects. So got off. We set up that one. I think today now you see the history of Genome Valley, how 94 started the concept, how we built the whole thing. And thanks to Dr. Bond, who was there as a secretary, he's a good friend of mine. And he was also a partner in our rotavirus project for the last 23 years. From 99 onwards, we were a partner on the rotavirus project. So he said, I told him, why is the startups are not happening in this country? That is way back when he just took over as a secretary. I said, you treat us as an enemy. The startups, private entrepreneurship is treated like enemy. Governments are sanctity. They're all, like a Brahmins and we're all Shudras. Startups. That is not right for the country. You need to build the culture of startups in this country. So that's how we work with NIH to promote SBR grant, RO1 grant type things. We build that concept with the Bond's mind. And I positioned that to build that SBR grant concept. That is how the startup can fund. Then he said, the DBT cannot do it, the private funding. Let's set up a new venture, new mechanism how to fund this startup, because the DBT cannot fund directly because we get into controversy. So that's how the BIRAC started existing. And they put it, BIRAC, and created the whole structure of a startup. And I think, today country has done extremely well in setting up a startup culture and incubators. And I think many are incubators here. And I think, the incubators, what I would envisage for the today and the future. My friend is here. So what is the future can be created? I think startup is going to be key for the innovation of the world. You look at US, Europe, who creates innovation? It's not the multinational. No multinational creates innovation in the world. They have perception. You have perception that multinationals don't create. They have too much cash. When you have too much cash, no innovation will come out. A starving fund only can come out in innovation. And only startup can do that innovation culture. The startups are acquired afterwards over the mergers and acquisition happens. And in the process, that's how you build the innovation culture. The problem, what we see in India right now, that I've seen the last, there's so many committees and watching all that, what is happening. The startups are also facing a problem. Incubators are also facing a problem. Incubators have become more like a real estate model, which is not good. And I think these real estate models should be, if it goes, and I think, see, how do you build, you need to. One thing all incubators managers should look at it. At least 10% of my incubatees are successful as a venture. I get the best out of it. You can put a successful model. What is the success? What do you get for that benefit for them? You can create that, not a problem. Okay, sorry. You can create a model. What in a successful startup, after you made some 100 crores revenue, what you want to be shared to the incubators, you can put a structure. But the problem, what we are seeing is, how do I get rent immediately, day one? So that model is not right, because you're still treating in a startup as the leaseholder or renter, renting a building, which I think you need to change mindset. Please keep in mind, any startup successful, every one of you as a manager, in an incubator's manager, okay, their children, your children are going to be too entrepreneurs tomorrow. Keep that in mind. If you don't create that policy issues right from the day one, we have a mental problem in India. Somebody makes money, we become jealous. Some scientist, he published some paper, we are jealous. That scientific fear competition, we should get out of it. We need to look at it a strategic angle. How do we compete with globally? So I was there in Srinivas Reddy, we are there in one of the committees in CS Accounting Council, and we talked about how China has done it. China, $430 billion. They invest in a public-private partnership, $430 billion on science and technology. They took a 5 or 6 strategic thinking, very 5 strategic strategy. One was the EV chemical, and the second is the gene therapy, CRISPR, and AI, and the robotic. They have taken that position, that 5-6 field we put, $430 billion been put, and ensured every company set up their own R&D within the campus of the campus. Within the Peking University, or Beijing University, or Shanghai, whatever the university, they forced them to set up their building in the campus itself. So that is how the public-private partnership is moved to that game, so that the industrial R&D people works with academic and build for the country's strategic angle. We don't have that. We are only looking at for money for money is the only criteria. I think Indians always want only first money. So I think after that we talk about all other things. I think we have to get out of that mindset. Today money is not important. The country's angle, society angle, how do we compete globally is important, science and technology. And if we don't compete that, we are out. Our next generation will not stay in this country. It is now moving to US and Europe and Canada and all that. Now the migrations will start to China. And I've seen, actually in China, I was there 5-6 years back, I saw thousands of engineering graduates working in some of the coil manufacturing companies. I looked at shocked. So they're all hired because they're English speaking. They're for QC and QA angle. They're hiring the Indian engineers. So there's total migrations will happen if these don't create our jobs right in this country, not their infrastructure. So I will tell you one good example. Incubators should really drive the passion of driving the state government. If you are united, you can do it. But the problem again, Indian, we are not united. We only united when we have a drink in the evening dinner time. But next day morning, we are not together. When somebody asks, oh, you will give some story. Oh, that fellow is useless. You will tell something. The other fellow, the fellow who is listening, he collects information both sides and he makes a judgment that both are bad. That we are not realizing that. That's how politicians tells me all the story. How two scientists gives 2 different opinions. We are not concerned on one. Even whether CIA or FICCI, all these people are not united what the country needs. 1-2 important decisions that can be made. What is that my message for the incubators will be, look at the biotech startups. A startup, I gave a presentation to the principal scientific advisor at Sood, and then about 14 or 15 secretaries were there. All the DBT, DST, CSIR, DRDO, all the secretaries were there. About 15 secretaries, just about 3 months ago. How regulatory is killing these countries' science and technology. How the regulatory is killing the startups. I'll give an example, because you all don't want to, your startups are there with you, you are not understanding their problem. Or you understand the problem, but you don't want to solve the problem. Because you are worried about the rent, you are worried about against talking against BIRAC or DBT. Both are against, because you are also funded by DBT. You are also funded by BIRAC. So therefore, you are scared of talking anything negative. So when a principal scientific advisor asked me to give a presentation on the regulatory, what happens, I said, I was a startup in 97. I myself being a startup. As a startup, we saved the country's foreign exchange at least $10 billion of saving for this country as a startup. What we have done as one individual, one company, we saved whether rotavirus, typhoid conjugate, first time in the innovation in the world, chikungunya, all those vaccines, you look at it, we saved the foreign exchange of at least minimum $10 billion. Even COVID time, look at the COVID. If the $100 is a vaccine you have to buy, just imagine what would be the cost for the government of India will be. One startup, when I am one startup can do for this country, okay, we have 200 startups in this country successful. What can be an impact at a bigger scale? That is how to envisage. So I will tell you regulatory. In India, for animal toxicology, you all agree with me, Mrityunjay, animal toxicology, RCGM is controlled? RCGM has got 25, 27 member. Maybe Mrityunjay was also one day was a member maybe. And some people may be member here in RCGM also. I don't mind. Okay. So what happens? You have to make a protocol and you have to make a 3 GMP lots and 3 GMP lots. You tell me how many startups has got GMP facility? Ask simple question. No. You want 3 GMP lots and 3 months stability. Okay. And then protocol submission for animal toxicology, 3 animals, whereas WHO recommends 1 animal, 28 days toxicology. And I'll tell you US FDA regulation later. You look at the Indian regulation and 3 GMP lots and 3 months stability, your preclinical toxicology takes 3 years. Exactly 3 years. Completing preclinical toxicology, completing and then getting to phase 1 trial. It's 3 years. Whereas in US, it takes exactly less than 3 months. In US, 3 months to 3 years. And I'll tell you an example in US FDA. We have done one US FDA phase 1 trial in US. It all took everything completed phase 1, everything in less than 7-8 months. So the US FDA says you can produce the GLP material, not GMP. Please keep in mind, one GLP material. And they want 90% pure. Whereas RCGM demands 99.9% pure protein. You see the logic of thinking of RCGM, thinking 99.9% pure protein for animal toxicology. Whereas US FDA says 90% pure is okay because if you have contamination is there, in the 10% contamination, should pick up the toxicology in the animal. When you are doing regular manufacturing production, if some contamination is there from the process, that should be picked up in the animal toxicology. You see the rational thinking of that? We have 99.9% pure protein. And the same scientists who are the committee members who never produced 99% pure protein. But they're sitting in the committees. And they're controlling the science of this country. Which is not right for the country and even for you incubators to succeed. If these startups, if 3 years is taking preclinical toxicology, just imagine the cash burn for a startup. If 3 years, which takes 8 months to complete a preclinical toxicology in another country, you lost the whole game of competition globally. You lost. And some companies, I know at least 8 or 9 companies, they shifted R&D to Singapore. They shifted R&D to London. And some other, Netherlands also. So why do you waste your time? 3 years of cash burn for a startup is a huge, because their capital is very less. They are running with 50 lakhs, 30 lakhs, 50 lakhs and all that. With that money, they have to pay rent, they have to pay electricity, they have to pay salary, and they have to take care of these regulatory hurdles of this much time. And I think, you all should be united as incubators, should brainstorm first these policy issues. You need to think the country's angle. First, forget about your selfishness of, I don't want to talk anything against DBT, otherwise I lose 30 lakhs, 40 lakhs. Trust me, I'm telling you, for losing 30 lakhs, you're losing the future of this country, which is not right, I think, I think my friend is also came, Bairak also, he also knows about my issue. So, see, as a company, established company like us, we are happy to have the regulation so that no startups will come again competing with me. As a selfish person, as an entrepreneur, I'm happy to have that regulation so that no startups will survive in this country. So I think all incubators should fight for the regulatory policy changes in the country. whether it is a DBT, RCGM, or it is Animal Ethical Committee, or it is CDSO, all the committees. We have more committees than policy decisions in this country. And I think we need to think about you people as today you are in a good situation. Honestly, I'm telling you, you are not having a pressure. You may have pressure how much rent I can show to the management. That's not worth it, I'm telling you. That's not worth it life. Giving a small money, 1 crore, 2 crores to extra to the management is not the game you should be playing. You should be visionary. Every manager, every head of that CEO of that incubator should be visionary. Sacrifice your life, little bit. Not your person's life, but sacrifice something for the sake of the country, for the first state of startups to survive. And I think, if these sort of policy decisions made, when you have predictable regulatory system in place, take my word, every private equity, every venture capital will flow automatically. When I asked the private equity people, I said, I don't even know what your policy decisions in this country is. Is it something for you possible phase 1 trial in 6 months? Is it possible? I don't mind taking investment. I will take a risk and put the money on the table. But I'm not sure. Yours is so unpredictable system in the country, I cannot put any more money. I at least more than 20, 30 private equity people, venture capital people I know. The India partner, who is a venture capital right here in Hyderabad, they said, I don't want to put any biotechnology. I want to put it in, the IT, digital health, all those sort of things. And now they're talking about old age people, homes and all that. So that extent they're going. I think we need to change. I think, every manager of that, ask the state government. For incubators, no electricity charges. They're giving to farmers free electricity in this country. This is ridiculous. In this country, farmers is important. I'm not denying that, please. I'm a farming fellow. I want farmers also to get a free. But why not startup also to get a free power? I think this is where you need to fight. Yes, Indians are very good in clapping. That's the problem. We're all politicians. We're all good politicians. 140 billion people, 1.4 billion people, all are politicians. I think some gene is mutated in this country over 100, 200 years. So every gene has got a political mind. I talk to everyone, everybody's a political mind. It's a very strategic political mind. I think leave all this thing apart. We need to be force. You get me on 30 incubators, CEOs. Sit with me. I will tell you the strategy, what should be done for the country. Think about country first. Think about startup to succeed. If they don't succeed, your children will not succeed. Take my word. Your children will not succeed. When I was sitting at my dinner table, I was talking so much India, cultural, India innovated zero, India steel industry innovated. Ink is what he was writing with the ink pen. Hey, my son, listen, that ink is done by Indians in innovated. I tell all those things. Dad, don't tell me too much about India. Then why is India still a developing country for the last 200 years, 100 years? Why still country is a developing country? Why I had to go to US? Why did you go to US at all for studies? He asked me a simple, straight question to me. So I think, the time has come for all of us to join together. One goal. How do we do startups to succeed in this country? If startup succeeds, innovation succeeds automatically. No innovation, nobody teaches in a classroom. If your policies are very critical, very scientific, and very rational, we are not asking to compromise on us. Suddenly when I ask some regulatory to ease up, one of the regulatory guys tells his secretary, no sir, we will sacrifice the safety of the people. You mean to say, who will sacrifice the safety of the people in this world? Which startup will do that? Hurting somebody? Nobody will do that. But that political mind of a scientist immediately spoiling somebody's mind. You see how we work together as a country? If I talk here, 50% will say Dr. Krishna Yella is good. No, why? 25% will say Krishna Yella is good. 75% will say he is bad, he's a crook. That's how our minds are. We don't look at it society angle. We look at a personal angle. And that we should get out of it. We should look at it society angle, how the startups can survive. Please think that your children, government, we should ask the state government. Don't ask cheap things. You go and ask for money. The government doesn't want to give money because government wants money now. Now politicians are asking us, industry now, penalizing us. My constitution is there. Under CSR fund, you can't take care of my constituency. So that pressure we have right now as an industry. 10 ministers are calling, each state is calling, take care of my constituency. I'll give it to my constituency to you. But I will contest election, but you take care of the remaining all the things. So don't ask money. You ask intangible things. You ask intangible things. Ask for electricity free. All startups will free. GST free. Because your service is GST service tax. Am I right? So you should ask for elimination of that. See, we have followed in GS, we are setting up Odisha Biotech Park in Bhubaneswar. We have fought with the government and we got a wonderful policy. We said every woman who works for an intern for 5 years, the government will pay 15,000 rupees. For men, 13,000 rupees. 1-3. So very good discrimination right there. Okay? So men is going to be more discriminated hereafter. So it's good actually. See, because the major in the biotechnology sector, 50% is woman force. We need to get them into the inclusivity in the working force. That's a good policy. We proposed actually. Mrityunjay is there. So we passed a gazette notification, 15,000, so that now you have to think as incubator managers, how I can integrate that into the startup culture, build a skill set. You need to think innovative way now. So now that there is a lot of money for a skill set available. Now I'm going to recruit somebody, give it to the startup company. That startup fellow will be subsidized by the government program and a skill development program. So you are achieving two things. One, startup gets a subsidized manpower. Number two, the skill set of that candidate who has graduated MSc Biotechnology, who has got only paper degree, not a skill set, you automatically build the skill set with him. These are the intangible things you should fight for with the government. Otherwise, we are not going to succeed. And we have set up a food park in Bangalore. The reason we set up food park, how do you bring innovative ideas in food? So I'm a chairman of CFTRI and NIST and all that. I've seen where we lead to food science. Because the next problem is going to come is food security for the global. Food security is one of the major thing you're going to see. Inflation is going to drive, the climate change is going to change, and the number of people working in the agriculture is going to go down. All of the things are going to change the game, and the food security is going to be a major game. And India can play major player in the food security. Because we are the only country which has got 365 days sunlight. No other country has got sunlight 365 days. So we can make changes that can happen for global food security point of view. So what policies are required? That we need to think. And medical devices, is a medical device easier technology? Because it's a less regulatory issue, that's why medical devices succeeded, so partly. Whereas biotechnology, we are not able to succeed because of the choking of some of the regulatory systems. And please, all incubators, managers, please, at least 10, 15 managers, join together a strategic thinking. What is that you should do for next 1 year? Because we don't plan 5 years, please. All of our life is 5 years, we are not sure whether we are going to be alive or not. Okay? India government always thinks 5 years, 20 years, 30 years, all bullshit. There's no value now anymore. The science is changing. Science is rapidly changing. I've been telling the structural biology, I gave a talk in University of Hyderabad, how the structural biology is changing the science. You see how structural biology got Nobel Prize now. DeepMind, artificial intelligence. They say 200,000 protein with artificial intelligence, they solve the protein structure. You don't need a crystallography now. Whole thing changed, field. The structural biology is going to try it today as a vaccine company. I feel that I'm already outdated now. How do I bring the structural biology into the vaccine field, into the enzyme companies, and into monoclonal antibodies? How this whole thing is going to change? You see now, next 2 years, whole science is going to change of structural biology and artificial intelligence. How that is going to have an impact on what type of protein. You're going to make some recombinant enzyme for a structure for the textile industry or whatever it. You're going to see a different structural biology of that get in, which is thermostable, which is going to catalyze at 1/100th of the quantity of the protein. Everything is going to change, science. Whatever people are making monoclonal antibody, they're producing, they're happy with 1 gram. Now I come out a company from California, is coming at 10 grams. They put a chaperone gene in CHO cell line, and they made it, because when you have high expression 10 grams, you get an aggregation of the protein.
So to prevent the aggregation, they put a chapter on gene, and so that aggregation is prevented. See how science is moving, and all structural biology leading into. So please think about the science is rapidly changing. Your startup culture also is rapidly changed. For that, what is the regulatory policy, financial policy, and government policies are required. That is the 3-4 policies. If you work strategically, you are going to do the greatest service to the country. Please keep in mind, you are the major pillar right now. It is not that I'm telling you because I like you people. I don't like you people actually in any case. Because you are rented, you rent people. So therefore I don't like you. But you are the instrumental for this country that you can create what can be done for the country through startup, through government, through society. A problem is there in a society. Ask that problem taken by a startup. See that the startup solves the problem of that country. I was telling Kerala government, I was there with the Kerala about 3 weeks back. Kerala government called me. They started some, like this, another program, big program in Kerala, and a biotechnology program. So I told the minister, I said, set up a skill university. He said, immediately announced it. And he also told him, I said, your biotech policy, you do one thing, one vaccine. You make it, solve the problem of Kerala. Nipah is a problem. I'll help you, Nipah vaccine. You make it happen, create a success, so that your biotech policy makes it meaningful for the state. You create a success, so that common people who are there in the society get a trust in the science. You need to create a common people to get trust in our Indian science and technology. That to create, so Kerala government, I was there putting a policy issues discussion. So I told them, I said, let us solve the Nipah problem of Kerala, where your tourism is going to be hurt. If the Nipah increases, it's giving a signal. One day it will be erupted. When it erupts, the whole your tourism will get destroyed. So let's plan. So he said, I told the minister was convinced. He said, I am ready to put resources for this. Solving Nipah problem by Kerala government itself. Not federal government, not the central government. Solved by state government itself. So they're taking decisions like that. So like that, every state can do something for that, make a success story. You are the pillars for the country. And I'm telling you, I wish you all the best. Great science, but think policy. Don't have lunches and dinners, but strategic discussion. Good luck to all of you. Thank you very much.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to My Startup TV.
Namaste, this is Srilata Shankar in our Leadership Talk series in collaboration with MyStartupTV. My guest today is Ramesh Loganathan, a very well-known personality both in the industry and academia. Ramesh currently works with IIITH as a senior professor. Ramesh, it's my privilege and honor to have you as my guest. Welcome to our Leadership Talk series.
Thank you, Srilata, for doing this. I think it's nice to bring some of these perspectives out from different people. Looking forward to the conversation.
Ramesh, I've known you for over 2 decades now. It's wonderful knowing you, and it's really nice having you as my guest. Ramesh, if you could start from your degree and PG and then continue further, please.
Yeah, so I was an engineer not by choice, by default. Right? I always say many of us, unfortunately, at the age of 17, don't know what we want in life. So yes, I did like math. I liked physics. I like machines. I like mechanical engineering. And so kind of it was an acceptable choice, but not that I was super passionate about it or knew what I was doing in life. It was just that all the other options were less, right? This was the least repulsive, I should say, not the most attractive, right? And did engineering, did electrical engineering, and that is not something that I ever enjoyed. I like machines, always have enjoyed machines more. And the fact that I like physics, the physical parts of it. Electrical engineering is physics, yes, but it is still hidden. I like to see things, touch and feel. And again, finished engineering somehow, got some decent score, and got into masters. And again, by default, not that I picked. I said, okay, I want to do it in a city, and my marks were not good enough for some of the IITs I wanted, but I could get into Guindy. So I joined Guindy also by default,
Right.
not because I wanted to be there or wanted to do control engineering. And I did like control systems, but not when I joined later. And again, my first job was by default. And I got into a sister concern of TCS, Westinghouse, which was a large industrial automation company in those days.
Sure.
And Tata's had started. So again, campus placement. I got the chance and it seemed good. And the offer was for an office in Ooty, Kunur. I said, why not? And so that's how it started. Later, things changed. But all the way up to my first, second job was almost things happening by default until my second job.
Ramesh, you mentioned you took Triple E in your engineering, and you also mentioned that you like the feel of things. So my question is, why didn't you take mechanical, and why did you take Triple E?
I didn't get it. Simple.
Okay.
So if I got maybe not even that. While joining, I don't think I even looked for mechanical. Those that year that I was joining, EC was the top choice. CS was still not a big thing, just beginning those days. So and mechanical I didn't get.
Sure.
It was still at least the college I joined. Many places, mechanical was more preferred than EE. So it's strictly by default. I didn't get mechanical, and I didn't want to go to any place. I wanted to study in one of the university colleges. And in the university colleges that I wanted, I was not getting mechanical. Few other colleges I was getting, like in Anandpur, I was getting every branch, but I didn't want to go there. And yeah, so I didn't get mechanical. And I didn't, and like I said, I was not thinking a whole lot. The fact that I liked machines also I discovered after joining college, not before.
You mentioned you were working in TCS. If you could speak about your journey in TCS and your corporate career, please.
So it was not TCS, it was a sister concern of Tata's. Tata's were a joint venture partner, and TCS was the executing side of it. It was called Westinghouse Tata Indus, started by an NRI. Westinghouse and Tata's were part of it. So we were supposed to be working on process control for large plants, industrial plants and chemical plants, which Westinghouse was a big player in the process automation space. And we were supposed to focus on process control side of it, the software to manage these large plants and factories. And it was good. We're in Ooty, I mean, Kunur, the office was in a bungalow. Everybody was a campus hire. It's virtually a hostel atmosphere. Only difference, we had good money on hand, a lot of time. We're just going through training and few hours a day. We had time to explore. So beautiful. It was a wonderful time. Personally, not professionally.
Sure.
It is first job, so we were not thinking much. Then got a chance to go to US through TCS and not in process control because they couldn't get projects in process control. It was in regular mainframe software. And I was in IBM those days for some time, almost a year, 9-10 months. And most of the time while I was getting paid, TCS was getting paid, I was not doing any work.
Right.
And initially it was fine. Then slowly I realized, like, what am I doing with my life? It's a year since I graduated, and like, okay, first 6 months went off having fun in OT. It's about time I start to do something. I mean, I can't be just getting paid and not do anything meaningful. And it started to bother me. And anyway, once it got over, when I went back, I said, I have to change. I can't do this. And then my parents were in Bangalore at the time, and I said, okay. And Bangalore was an IT hotbed. So I said, why not? Looked around. One of my classmates was in a small company that those days was doing system software. Like, I mean, like operating systems and such, which was not many would work on those. And so she told me, you like this, you join this company. And at an offer in Infosys, early days of Infosys, I would have been one of those early ESOP, had I joined at that time, they would have been handsomely rewarded when they went public some years later. But I said, no, it's again a large company, not very large for those days, right?
Sure.
This was 91. Sure. In 91, they were not that big. But I still said this was a 40-member company. So I said, I would like to join this company. And that was the first time I started to enjoy work. Amazing company and very, very good understanding of systems. And I had the chance to work on a project where we're building a new database server from scratch, right? Like Oracle. We're building it from scratch.
You mentioned Oracle.
It's like Oracle
right.
database those days. Oracle was already there. and there's a Norwegian company that had funded it, and the Norwegian was driving it. It's a small team, a 5-member team, including this Norwegian. We were building a database server from scratch. It was a fantastic experience, like a lot of my foundational understanding of systems engineering, software design, architecture, programming, all of it happened in those 2.5 3 years. A wonderful experience. Had a very nice mentor. This Norwegian was the one designing, so got a good sense of how to design systems from the way he used to think and design. And then we also had one of the founders of the company, Integra, was very, very good. And he is the one that taught me programming in a way, right? C and such.
What was the company's name, Ramesh?
Integra Microsystems.
Okay.
And enjoyed it, but then the US bug bit. And like after a few years, decided to move to the US. Then again, for a brief while, I was outside the conveyor belt, and then again jumped right back onto the conveyor belt. Got my H1, went to companies. I was in New York for some time, short time, then went to Houston. Had a nice opportunity to work. That's where I got introduced to distributed computing, though it was services. Between Compaq, I spent a little more than a year in Compaq and another year and a half in Shell, which is an oil company. And in both places, I was working on a distributed solution platform underneath. The solution was being built, but I was handling the platform underneath. So again, I realized that I just enjoyed that. It was very nice because that required an understanding of 3 4 different parts. You need to understand the database on one side, you need to understand the system logic on one side, the user interface on the other side, and you're sitting in the middle and working on multiple machines. And I just loved it. And this was in 95, 96. And till date, I'm in that technology space. The course I teach here in Triple IT 30, 35 years later, yes, one of the courses is on distributed computing. We build a platform. And the inspiration, motivation for that was the mid-90s when I started to work on this. And then my friend was in Bay Area. He said, like, what are you doing there? You come work, come to Bay Area. And so then I moved to Bay Area. I had database background, so joined an Oracle's competitor called Informix. Very, very good company, amazing tech. Oracle was more successful, but Informix had much better tech. And large company, not as big as Oracle, but nearly half the size of Oracle those days. And so again, very nice opportunity. I was working in performance engineering, where I got a chance to look at different parts of Informix, and which is what I'm good at. I'm good at understanding many different things. So more and more it got reinforced in the coming years that that's my strength and I should play to my strength. You give me one thing to do, I may not be half as effective as doing something that involves understanding 5 things. And there are such roles everywhere. So I think they're called integration broadly. So, that's what I was doing there. Performance was across the product, and I was very good at it. And then when I was in Informix, when I got to know about Pranati, which in the early days of Java was building a Java app server from Hyderabad. In 99, when they built and took it to Java conference in San Francisco, it's a huge conference those days. There were only 2 companies and huge visibility. One was a company well known by then called WebLogic, which Oracle later acquired. And the other was Pranati, this small company, 10-member company from Hyderabad that had built an app server that was being showcased at that conference. Huge attention. I got to know because Informix got to know about it. And they started talking to them. And then my boss told me, like, look, there's this company from India. The CTO is in town. Do you want to meet? And I was super impressed with what they were doing.
This is while you were in US, am I right?
This was while I was still in US. I was working from Singapore, but my work was in US. The last 1.5 years, I was working remotely from Singapore, but I used to visit a lot. My job was still in the US. And I met the founder in the US. And then our group got involved. So I started meeting him even for that thread that we were having to license that app server for Informix. A few months later, Informix decided not to go with it. I mean, the group recommended, but the CEO said no. He said, I want to work with WebLogic. And by then, I'd met the CTO a few times, and I loved what they're doing. And we were coming back. We were in Singapore also as a transit stop. When I told my boss I'm going back to India, he said, no, work remotely for some time. And we're coming to Bangalore. Because of Pramati, I said, this is the company I want to work. And then, like, talked to my wife. Thankfully, she agreed. And just before moving, more or less, few weeks, we decided that instead of Bangalore, we'll move to Hyderabad. And we came here, that was 2000. And it's been a phenomenal journey since. Pramati's experience was super rich. I was heading engineering, amazing team, amazing founders, both Jay and Vijay. And they created a culture. That's still my inspiration as a work culture. And have very high bars on one side and still empower, enable on the other side. And how to inspire a high bar. High bar is not something that you can just set saying like, look, you're not doing it. You have to inspire, right? And then a very nice kind of balance of setting high expectations, doing it credibly. You should do it from the front. You can't say, I will be sloppy, but you do great job, right? And you have to do this. Phenomenal, extremely inspiring leaders. And in many ways, whatever I am today in terms of leadership, a lot of it is drawn just by observing them, the two of them. And this defines them. I mean, set a high bar, an inspiring, kind of inspirationally high bar, or inspired high bar. And on the other side, empower, which is often they don't go with each other. Like if you're too demanding, you tend to micromanage. If you're micromanaging, you don't tend to have high bars or high goals. So, and then we had our own issues. The 2002 recession hit us hard. We're just getting the US market, raised money, and then recession happened. So we couldn't capitalize on that. The second round funds that we raised. Those days, Pramati raised 2 rounds of solid VC funding from the US, both of them. And
that's phenomenal.
Those days. And even today, there are very few companies that even attempt what Pramati did in terms of trying to create technology, right? Platforms. They all go build applications and there's end solutions. Very few venture into building technology platforms. And Pramati did it those days. Unfortunately, part of it got acquired. It was the lifeline that we got. We're struggling. And so I went with acquisition. That's how Progress happened. Progress is another 30-year-old database company. And in the middleware space at the time, they came to us for the middleware product. They wanted a development tool. And so Acquis hired half of the company. So in that process, Pramati got a lifeline and bounced back. But half of the company went, and I was leading that. It was very important for Pramati's survival, so I decided to do it myself. We had to make sure it worked well, and it did work well. And that grew. So I had now my own offshore experience also working with a product company, setting up a remote lab, growing it. And it was a good experience. Often we used to be considered when there were development labs in 7 different locations in 3 or 4 countries. By and large, we were widely recognized as the most innovative group in the company by the head of engineering, head of products, even by the CEO. So it was a good thing to do in those days. By 11, 12, we were recognized to be the most innovative group in the company. And which is even today, many companies don't get there that easily. It needs to have a combination of things for it to happen. We end up being just the back office for the company, right? Not doing any frontline work, right? Frontline thinking, new directional products, new products, and all that. Very rarely we get to work in the Indian offices. We were driving some of the new product from there. Before I left, one of our products, I was driving the global product from Hyderabad. And the engineering was in 2, 3 locations. More than half was in Hyderabad. And I was driving the product from here, which also rarely happens. Where you drive a product, you often drive a function. The product owners are elsewhere. So it did well. I had a good run. Parallelly, I was working with Triple IT. I started teaching in 2002.
What made you switch from being a corporate employee to the teaching profession? You are a professor in Triple ITH. What made you do that?
It happened more or less without realizing. I think sometimes nature brings you, right? Universe brings you some things, and this is one of those. I knew Triple IT. It was in the news in the first few years. I knew it's a good institution, and that's about it. And I was in the city, but I was just happy. My kids were young, getting them settled. My wife was starting her practice. I had my work. We just had like anybody else, so very, very centered around work and home. I was not doing much else. But then our head of HR was like restless person, and he came and said, let's do something, because we're already getting interns from Triple IT. He said, why not we engage more? And he said, let's do a middleware lab. And he had done the initial conversation, brought me in only after there was interest on the institute side. And then I got involved, not reluctantly, but I got involved later. No, the idea was not mine. It was Pawan's idea. He did the legwork and pretty much brought it on a platter to me. So when I went, everything was nice. I said, yes, absolutely, why not? Then I took it over from there, started structuring it, and got engaged first year from Pramati. We had set up a middleware lab and started teaching.
Which year was this?
2002.
Okay.
And by 2003, like I said, we had our own existential crisis in Pramati. So as a company, we stepped back. But I liked it so much, I continued. And then the year later, I was made adjunct faculty in my individual capacity. Till then, I was just a guest faculty from the lab side. And then, so I still cherish, that's my most cherished, I cherish that letter more than even my degrees. Both my degrees, that letter I got saying that I'm now an adjunct faculty signed by the director, Professor Sangal. I had to call The dean, I knew only one person here at that time, in 2004-5. I had called him to find out, sir, what does this mean? I don't, I'm hearing this phrase for the first time. He said, it's just that you're now a full faculty, just that you're adjunct. Otherwise, anything a faculty can do, you can do. I said, what all can a faculty do? He said, you can structure new courses, you can advise thesis students, research students, you can apply for projects, get funding. Just anything that we do, you can do now. I said, wow, that's a nice honor, nice privilege. And then slowly it increased. Few years later, by then I started getting involved with startups. And in 2008, when the incubator was started here, so Prof. Sangal asked, saying, we're starting the incubator, you're already working with startups, why don't you help us? So I and BVR Mohan Reddy sir were two of the signatories when we formed that society to run the incubator.
Mr. Mohan Reddy that you mentioned is the founder of Scient.
Yes, yes. So both of us were involved with that. And it was nice. And slowly my startup involvement increased. By then, Head Start Network was formed around the same time that Repair Incubator started. Head Start Network started, which as one of the founders, 16 founders, the national organization for grassroots efforts around entrepreneurship, early stage entrepreneurship. And then before I knew, I was very, very involved in the early stage ecosystem. I was running the early stage programs for TIE. By 2012-13, Hyderabad Angel started. I was involved with that effort and also started hosting those meetings in our office for a few years. And I was so deep into it and it was so enjoyable, the whole process. By 15-16, I was very, very involved with startups. But it all started with IIIT. And so IIIT was always there. I started structuring courses, changed my courses. And by 12, I was clear that I want to move into academics and want to move to IIIT. At 12, I also started teaching in IIT Hyderabad. I was a guest faculty there teaching one course, but IIIT association was much deeper. And I decided in 12, it took me 4 years to finally move. Because the golden shackles, you have to unshackle yourself. The golden shackles kept me kind of from doing it. Took me quite some time to finally move. And I did in 16. Some opportunity presented, there were changes happening in the company. And so I said, okay, if not now, why not now? Any time is as good as now. And just took the opportunity and moved. It's been the best decision in my life. 8 years now, more than 8 years. And been so enjoyable. I'm so glad I can do my piece for the institute. And I get much more than what I give. I enjoy everything that's happening here. I enjoy the students, the faculty, very different thinking faculty, very, very different thinking faculty, because I'm involved a little bit with bits. I'm involved quite some with IIT Hyderabad and few other institutions over the years. Very different thinking faculty. I think it all comes from the origins, like Professor Raj Reddy, given that Padma Vibhushan in the 90s, the only Indian to get the Turing Award so far. And that was the one in the 90s. And since then, he's given 30 more years, very fulfilling years. He is still actively involved. And somebody like that at the helm as the chairman, founding chairman, you can't, even if you have an ego, you have to tuck it in. And so the culture is very different. And then the first director, Professor Sangal, Professor Ahuja was involved from another senior professor from US in the early days. Professor Sangal was the first full-time director. These three were more or less the founding fathers of the institute academically. Otherwise, government did all the legwork. And all three are super accomplished and super grounded. And that set the DNA. Then PJ and others joined. And they all joined because they knew either Professor Rajedi or Professor Sangal or Professor Ahuja. They all joined early faculty because they knew one of them. So in a way, there was an alignment of thinking and mindset and such. That set the culture. I think that's the culture of the institute now. I hope we never lose it. So far, it's been preserved, 26 years now. Very interesting culture. Students are taken very seriously. Like Pijan says, we believe last job, not the first job.
Right.
So for the last job in their life is what we need to be preparing them for. So things like learning to learn, values, societal connect, personal meaning. You should know why you're doing anything. It's okay, even money is fine. Absolutely nothing wrong with money, but you should know why you're doing it. It can't be happening without realizing the awareness. So some few things which we believe are important in life that will hold them in good stead. And like he says, we would like to prepare them for the last job, not the first job. First job, we believe they're ready for the first job at the end of the third semester. They can be as good as any Infosys engineer. So we know they're ready for the first job end of the third semester. But we want to use the 4 years to prepare them for the last job, not the first job. So it's a very different thinking. Enjoy being around. And of course, this gives me a chance to interact a lot with outside world, with the government. I was involved with the government always. I was active in HSIA even before I moved to academics. But in the academics also, interact. I'm one of the liaison, first person to be connected to anytime some thread starts with government. So it's nice. I'm very, very appreciative of the opportunity, and I do greatly enjoy everything I do here.
Ramesh, I completely resonate with what you mentioned in terms of your passion for teaching. I, in my own small way, teach HR and MBA colleges, and it's extremely gratifying. Teaching is a really gratifying profession. Triple ITH, is it just an undergrad course, or do you have PG courses also?
No. We have a very, very strong UG program. We have the only program in the country where it's a research-led undergraduate program. The 4-year program has an honors program where half of the batch get selected at the end of second year, and they work with a professor like a research student for 2 years. Sure. Most of them get publications. We are the only place in the country where almost 25% of the class gets publications. Everywhere else it is 2-3%, including well-known places like IIT Madras or IIT Bombay. BTech student getting publications, very small number. For us, it's 25-30% of the batch gets publications. Degree program, which is a 5-year program, BTech and MS Studies. So that's a full thesis program. They have to publish to graduate. It's a mini PhD program, but undergrad students. They get 2 degrees at once, BTech and MS Research, after they publish, defend their thesis and graduate. So almost 40% of our undergrad program is that, about 130-140 students every year. And then we have a regular MS Research program, which is about 60 to 80 or so per year, and PhD, which is about 40 join. So our PhD program is only a small part of a research program. Our undergrad research is the much larger part, and the dual degree research. And these are kind of top rankers in JEE publishing papers. So while they lack the depth that a PhD students bring, they bring a lot of agility to that whole process. They can do many, many things that most other research students won't be able to do. And it shows the research output. In spite of being a very young institute, research output, we are higher in CS areas than even ISC or IIT Madras, IIT Bombay. Research output, we are higher than those numbers, both quality and quantity. And especially in AI CS, we are comparable broadly. AI, we rank much higher than everybody else. And mainly because of the faculty on one side, the research focus of the institute, and the undergraduate research program. That gives us a lot of momentum.
Ramesh, you're actively working with the Product Leaders Forum. My first question is that, can you please elaborate on that? My second question is, T-Hub closely works with Triple ITH. If you could explain how it works. The part B question is, what is the incubation center and how does the T-Hub incubation center work closely with Triple ITH?
So Product Leaders Forum is one of the communities, very nice community, right? Because product managers, Hyderabad, as not many know that Hyderabad industry is steeped in product companies. When the industry came out of nowhere in the second half of 90s, like we were not even in the national radar until cyber towers came up. And suddenly we were in the news as being kind of a place to go to. Bill Gates coming here and things happening, a lot happening. And also numbers grew very significantly. And that cyber tower, that one round building was at those days 70-80% of the whole industry in the city.
Right.
And which was big. It was the largest building in the country for IT. A million square feet was not there anywhere. The buildings were like probably a tenth of that typically anywhere in the country.
Thanks to Chandrababu Naidu.
Thanks to Chandrababu Naidu, yes. And in that building, not many know that by 2000, when the building was fully occupied, 1999-2000, 60-70% of the companies there were product companies. The Oracles and the Barnes and the Microsofts, CA, those were the companies in that building. Most of them were product companies and solid tech companies, not